If you want to achieve location freedom, then you're in the right place, because that is exactly what I wanted to achieve years ago. So in this video, I'm going to walk you guys through exactly how I managed to achieve location freedom so that you can just copy me. Now, if you're new here, my name is Jordan. On this channel, we talk about achieving freedom, time, location, and financial freedom. And one of the best ways to do that is by creating an online stream of income or online cash flow so that you can fund your moves abroad or fund your property investments. Now, I'm going to go against the grain here and say that if you are currently working a 9 to 5, make sure you don't quit your job so that you can go start a business. For the average person, I'd suggest that you just do what I did, which is you stick to your 9 to 5 and you spend as much time as you possibly can in the mornings and in the evenings just learning, educating yourself on a specific niche, audience, money model, business, etc. So that's the first thing. Make sure you balance your 9 to 5 with this process, because if you just quit everything and go all in, then yeah, you might still make it, but it might not be as quick as you want it to be. So it really depends on your current situation. I'd always recommend that you stick to your 9 to 5 just at the beginning, at least so that you can save a bit of money. So that's exactly what I did. I was on a $90,000 a year salary. I was working in business development, and of course there's commissions in addition to that, but I just stayed with that job, and I would wake up every morning at about 5 a.m. and work on my new income stream. And then when I come home from work at the end of the day, I'd have dinner, and then I would go to my office and I would just work on that new income stream. That's what I recommend you do. So that's number one, educating yourself, building the second thing on the side while staying in your job. Now, the second thing you want to do is choose a business model based on your skills, experience, knowledge, and things like that. This is really important because you might create a second income stream which will allow you to be location free. But if it's not something that aligns to who you are and what you're meant to actually be doing, you might create a prison for yourself and you might regret the thing that you built in the future. So you don't want to do that. You want to build something that you can stick with for a long period of time. And I know this because this is exactly what I did wrong. I followed the advice of someone else. I built a Facebook ads agency, which to be fair was quite successful at first, but I ended up building myself a prison. I absolutely hated the business model. I never wanted to be a service provider in the first place. I did it because I saw it as the fastest path to achieving location freedom, but I was never able to really stick with it because I was always looking for something that was more aligned to me. Now, you might not agree with that advice. You might say, well, if there is a proven business model that's going to get me from A to B, then I'm just going to choose that business model. And you're welcome to do so. This is just my experience. I'm always looking to do something that fulfills me rather than just to do something for a bit of money. So it's totally up to you, but that's my advice. Now, the business models that you should be considering are as follows. Service provider is, of course, one of the easiest things that you can do right now. But because it's so easy, everyone's doing it. You can go on Upwork, you can go on Fiverr, or any of these freelancer websites. There's heaps of people offering their services. And if you're a business owner, you can go on one of these websites and you can hire someone on a contract and get the work done. So if you're a service provider, it can be very competitive. And because it's competitive, it's harder to charge a high price. Now, you can go down the path of creating an agency, but I would argue that it's equally as competitive because it's just an easy business model to get up and running. You don't need any money to start. And if you have some knowledge of a skill, or if you're prepared to learn in the mornings and in the evenings, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty easy to make a success of it. But getting clients for it is a whole nother thing. And the reason why it's going to be difficult for you is, again, just because it's competitive. So I did that for a long time, and then I moved into info products. So I was selling information to people in the form of PDFs, courses, things like that. And then I realized that I can actually charge more money if I just operate more as a consultant. And what this basically means is that I work more personally with someone and help them achieve a result. So instead of doing the work for them like a service provider, I'm consulting them as more of a strategic advisor. This way, I can have more control over whether or not they get the result. But the problem with consulting is that it's not scalable. And so what I found was a new business model that's only been around for maybe the last couple of years, and that is a community. So communities operate based on a subscription model. You can have lots of people join your community for $100 a month, and that's really scalable. So you can have thousands of people in that community. Right now, the two biggest platforms are Skool and Whop. I prefer Skool, and just recently someone won the Skool Games. They have two communities. One of them makes them $300,000 a month. The other community makes them over $150K a month. So the amount of money you can make in a community is just outrageous. Now, I'm certainly not making that much money at the moment, but you can see how easily it would be for you to create a community that you can scale to 100 members or more, which will fund your location-free lifestyle. Now, back when I first started, I was told that you should always go down the path of delivering a service, then selling info products around it, then offering some kind of coaching or consulting. And then if you want, you can have the community on the side, which is a new thing, because you can charge people a low ticket entry point, but it's ultra scalable. Unlike consulting, where you're typically charging someone more money, higher ticket price in order to work with you. But I didn't like consulting so much when I paid people for it, because usually they would offhand you to someone else in their team. And I thought that was a little bit silly, because usually if you pay for consulting, you want the person that you've been following online or watching online to actually work specifically with you. So that's why I felt a community would allow me to do that. This way I can serve more people. If you want to learn a little bit more about my community, just check out the links in the description below. But those are the business models that I recommend. Other people have, of course, achieved location freedom in many different ways. E-commerce and drop shipping. Some people are just social media creators and they have sponsors. And then of course you have some people that just do OnlyFans. Personally, I don't really care what you do to achieve location freedom. I just want to share with you guys what I did to achieve it. This way you can just copy me. My advice would always be to choose something that aligns with you, that gives you fulfillment, and that is scalable and won't be destroyed by AI. This is another mistake I made, because one of the companies that I have, when I originally built it, it was based on video editing, video production. And then when AI became a bit more prevalent, we started using AI to create videos for people, thinking that it's still going to be a skill that we can specialize in. But over time, it became much easier for the average person to create their own video content. And so I realized pretty quickly that this wouldn't be the best business model for me. So I spent a lot of time just creating new offers and figuring out what my agency could offer that can't be copied from other people, or that AI wouldn't steal from us later in the future. So I looked for more sustainable services and offers that I could make money from. This is something that you're going to have to do yourself, which is why I recommend you spend a lot of your time just learning and educating yourself. Of course, the next question is, how much money do you actually need to make in order to be location free? Well, in my opinion, you only need to make about $5,000 a month. Some people do it with less than that, but I like to advise that you aim for $5,000 a month, so that you've got a little bit of extra cash that you can play around with, or you can use it for investing. Which brings me to my next point. Once you get to a certain level of revenue in your business, you're going to want to invest that somewhere. Now, if you want to be location free, property doesn't sound like the best option, because you want to be mobile. But if you're moving away from the West and living in Southeast Asia, for example, or Latin America, or one of these emerging markets, your mission should be to find a place that you really enjoy spending your time in, so that you can invest money there, usually to buy a property or to invest in a business, whichever one floats your boat, so that way you have a tie to that location and you can integrate with society there, and of course make a little bit of money in the process. I just see property as a way for you to exponentially scale your wealth in the long term, because you never know when things are going to break down or when things will change. Some people scale their businesses up to 100K a month, and then all of a sudden they lose it all. You don't want to be like that. You want to be investing into something that's going to stay around for a while and gives you a little bit of safety and security and stability, as well as some extra cash flow. So that's what I did. Services, info products, consulting, community. That was the path that I took. And I think it's a pretty straightforward path. It's very simple, but like with anything in life, it's not easy. You're gonna have to work at it. But if you've got any questions on anything that I've discussed here today in this video, let me know in the comments below. I'm always here to answer them, and I'll see you in the next one.